The
You don't have to be
same
black
thing.
to know what racism
Yes,
is.
you do.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do,
No,
baby.
you do not.
Yes, you
In the glittering constellation of showbiz legends, only a select few shine with the brilliance of Whoopi Goldberg. She's not just a Hollywood icon, she's a one-woman sensation who has conquered every corner of the entertainment universe, with a unique distinction held by only 16 individuals worldwide. She's an EGOT winner, which means she's bagged an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. But Whoopi Goldberg's talent transcends mere accolades.
Ever since I was a little kid, I wanted this. You don't know.
Whether she's commanding the silver screen, gracing our TV sets, captivating theater audiences, or lighting up the talk show circuit, she's a constant source of entertainment. When Whoopi's in the spotlight, you can't help but feel that everything might just be alright. Yet, her unpredictable wit and candid charm on talk shows leaves you delightfully unsure.
But did you know when she left that day that she was feeling
No,
sad?
you know what? I didn't. You know,
Right.
Come on. Really, Nene?
But just as she has thrilled the world with her charms and talent, her unfiltered way has also not always been a crowd pleaser. At times, she unleashed her unapologetic spirit on the airwaves, pushing boundaries and occasionally raising eyebrows. Whether it was the occasional moments of wild spontaneity or her candid exchanges with guests and staff, Whoopi doesn't hold back. Now it appears this raw and unvarnished honesty has come with a cost, transforming a once positively perceived persona from her silver screen days into something less conventional and definitely more hated. But how did it all go wrong? To know this, let's jump to her history. Born Karen Elaine Johnson on November 13, 1955 in the Chelsea Public Housing Projects of New York City, Whoopi Goldberg's journey from a tumultuous upbringing to Hollywood stardom is as remarkable as the woman herself. While some sources dispute her birth year, it's her extraordinary life story that truly captivates.
I want you to clean this room up, because I was basically a slob as a kid. And she said, I'm not going to say it but once. Clean this room up.
Raised by her mother Emma, Whoopi's affinity for the performing arts took root at an early age through her involvement in theater at the Helena Rubenstein Children's Theater. However, her path wasn't without its challenges. An undiagnosed case of dyslexia hindered her academic progress, eventually leading her to drop out of high school. To cope, she turned to drugs, seeking solace in substances to escape the weight of her struggles.
I was very lucky to have the woman that I had raising me, because my mother was really smart she knew something was up with me.
In 2009, Whoopi candidly revealed her past, admitting to a period of being, quote, young, homeless, and addicted to heroin. She reflected on the 60s and the era's counterculture, experimenting with mind-altering substances, a rite of passage in those times. She explained, I was a child of the 60s, so I ingested as many mind-altering substances as I could. It was a rite of passage, and when I got clean, I was convinced I wanted to be an actor. I just needed a bit of time to convince the acting profession, so in between I needed a job. It was a counselor whom she would later marry, have a child with, and eventually divorce who played a pivotal role in helping Whoopi overcome her substance abuse and transform her life. This chapter in her life also revealed another challenge, a teenage pregnancy. At the tender age of 14, she discovered she was pregnant. Stricken with panic, she resorted to dangerous methods in an attempt to terminate the pregnancy, including consuming a hazardous concoction of alcohol and household substances. These efforts only left her violently ill. Quote, I drank these strange concoctions girls told me about, something like Johnny Walker Red with a little bit of Clorox, alcohol, baking soda, which probably saved my stomach, and some sort of cream, she recounted in the book. The following year at 15, Whoopi found herself pregnant again, but this time she was able to access a safer termination at Planned Parenthood, thanks to recent legislation that legalized abortion in New York. These experiences deeply influenced her stance on pro-choice and legal abortion, and she remains a steadfast advocate to this day.
Life is so short.
Okay.
Yeah.
At the age of 19, Whoopi and her daughter relocated to San Diego, California, where she began pursuing her dream of acting. Her talent quickly gained recognition in stage productions and with the improvisational group Spontaneous Combustion. It was during this period that she adopted her iconic stage name. Originally called Whoopi Cushion due to her penchant for flatulence, she later streamlined it to Whoopi Goldberg, heeding her mother's advice that the original name was not, quote, Jewish enough for her to become a star. First it was whoopee cushion, then it was French like whoopee couchon. Goldberg's a part of my family somewhere, and that's all I can say about it. It's like Rip Torn, you know, she said. In San Diego, Whoopi developed a series of character monologues that culminated in her one-woman production Spook Show in 1983. This show explored themes of race and urban life through compelling portrayals of diverse characters. It gained traction in San Francisco and eventually off-Broadway, capturing the attention of director Mike Nichols. Nichols helped her remount the show, now simply titled Whoopi Goldberg, on Broadway the following year. This critically acclaimed production showcased her incredible acting and writing skills, earning her a Grammy for the show's album.
I'm gonna have to get a job after this. You're supposed to thank all these people, I can't remember who. Oh, Mike Nichols.
It was during this time that Whoopi Goldberg came to the notice of Steven Spielberg, who offered her a pivotal role in the film adaptation of Alice Walker's The Color Purple. The 1985 film was a resounding success, catapulting Whoopi to stardom and earning her numerous awards, including a Golden Globe for Best Leading Actress. Her journey from hardship to Hollywood acclaim is a testament to her resilience and talent, making Whoopi Goldberg an iconic figure in the world of entertainment. While Whoopi Goldberg's rise to fame was meteoric, her foray into hosting brought with it a tidal wave of criticism. As she entered the world of hosting, a noticeable shift occurred, turning some of her loyal fans into vocal detractors. It seemed that her once admired persona began to fracture, giving way to a more polarizing image. One of her fans wrote, "Whoopi is a driving force in the cancel culture, wanting all that don't share her exact view should be silenced, blocked, and censored. Very self-centered way of looking at life. Progress is achieved and maintained by open communication about all issues." It was noted when during a live show tensions flared between Rosie O'Donnell and Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi's passionate stance on matters is no secret, and it seems that this passion may have led to a heated exchange between the two. When asked about their current relationship, Rosie offered the following perspective on Whoopi.
You like to keep those people in a place of reverence if you can, and that's what I'm hoping to do.
In a surprising twist, Whoopi Goldberg now appeared to be deeply upset, claiming that Rosie O'Donnell had effectively ended her career. These allegations come amidst speculations that Goldberg herself might be departing from the show. What's particularly intriguing is that it was Rosie who ultimately chose to leave the show due to her conflicts with Whoopi. In the process of her departure, Rosie began shedding light on some unflattering allegations about Whoopi, adding an unexpected layer of complexity to their relationship and the show's dynamics.
Well, believe it or not, we bumped into each other physically at the Megan Mullally show of her concert in Cafe Carlisle, and we were very cordial and said hello. And
when asked whether they would ever meet again, either on or off the show, this is what Whoopi had to say.
Reports already starting that Rosie may make a guest appearance this season. Rosie O'Donnell.
Not happening.
No,
It's not happening.
it's not?
No.
In the ever-evolving world of daytime talk shows where candid commentaries and discussions reign supreme, a recent revelation by Rosie O'Donnell has disrupted the seemingly tranquil landscape. Her appearance on Brooke Shields' podcast was far from ordinary. It was an unfiltered expose that pulled back the curtain, revealing her side of the turbulent undercurrents of her time on the iconic show, The View. Rosie has much more to share regarding her complex relationship with Whoopi, and her revelations have left many intrigued and eager to uncover the truth behind their dynamic.
You know, I was very into supporting other women, Title IX, pass the ball, you get the layup, you pass, you run. You know, it was teamwork. That's where I was going in.
Rosie O'Donnell, an outspoken and iconic figure in the entertainment industry, left no stone unturned as she revisited her experiences from her tenure on daytime talk shows back in 2006. Her recollections painted a picture of discord within the show's dynamics, with subtle references to Elizabeth Hasselbeck, a central figure in the backstage drama. Beneath the surface, Rosie's hints pointed to the existence of a puppet master orchestrating events, notably the late Bill Getty, a white male producer who seemed to be shaping the show's direction, veering it away from the voices of women and towards his own vision.
Very tall, like 6 foot tall, larger woman, very great producer. She was assigned to do his mystery guest.
The most enthralling parts of Rosie's narrative centered on her interactions with none other than the legendary Whoopi Goldberg, the show's current host. As Rosie's story continued to unfold, it took a dynamic turn, shedding light on the fact that her initial departure from The View was rooted in conflicts with Elizabeth Hasselbeck.
Rosie, I think it was disturbing to read those things, and it was offensive to me.
Upon her return to The View, it was Whoopi Goldberg who emerged as a significant source of tension for Rosie. These were not your run-of-the-mill disagreements that often surface in talk show dynamics. Instead, they revolved around some of the most contentious and controversial topics of our time. Rosie peeled back the layers of these disputes, exposing an explosive clash of perspectives between herself and Whoopi. Their conflicts delved into sensitive and profoundly impactful issues, creating a maelstrom of opinions and emotions that added a unique and intense layer to the dynamics of the show. Rosie O'Donnell has candidly discussed her stint as a co-host on The View, portraying it as a challenging ordeal and revealing her reluctance to consider participating in the show again. Her initial role on the talk show in 2006 was meant to be that of a mediator, but her time there was relatively short-lived. Looking back on those days, Rosie has disclosed that her hesitance to return is deeply rooted in her experiences with specific individuals on the set, who, in her view, made it challenging to fulfill the show's intended purpose. It wasn't hard to decipher who Rosie was alluding to, as it became quite evident that someone was wielding their influence to shape the show in accordance with their own perspective. Reflecting on the intense debates she found herself in with Whoopi Goldberg, Rosie expressed her frustration with being a part of a show where she felt compelled to repeatedly argue for and defend fundamental principles of what she sees as humanity and kindness. This environment hindered her ability to effectively showcase her talents. This situation bears resemblance to previous instances where others have accused Whoopi of displaying excessive aggression and unkindness during the show, highlighting the ongoing challenges faced within The View's dynamic.
Just how horrible it is that Donald Trump is talking about
that's
all
what you,
of these
I'm
people.
sorry,
You know what I
that's
think
what you
is
said.
horrible?
You said,
Whoopi, you know
you
what's
said
horrible?
that
When
it's
people
okay.
This is not the first instance where fellow colleagues have expressed concerns about her behavior and on-air outbursts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, she knows too.
That
That's
was-
the thing, is that she knows. She knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
According to Rosie, her interactions with Goldberg on The View were among the most unpleasant experiences she ever had on live television. This was primarily because Whoopi appeared intent on undermining the show's purpose by narrowing the discussion to topics that aligned with her preferences, often disregarding important and controversial subjects. Rosie also noted that when Whoopi found herself lacking valid arguments, she would redirect the conversation into a drama centered around herself.
You are a white lady telling me what is racist to you, which is fine.
American who's been told us what homophobia and hatred
but
looks
it's
like.
not the same.
Rosie found it extremely challenging to participate in discussions about the intriguing and contentious topics that held her interest. This tension eventually reached a breaking point, leading to a major argument between Rosie and Whoopi during a commercial break.
One, she was upset with, like, I threw the commercial because I didn't know that she saw the countdown. The guy was like going like this.
The conflict appeared to originate when Whoopi abruptly interrupted Rosie's discussion about the topic of spanking and called for a commercial break. Rosie was taken aback because she didn't have an earpiece through which the producers could guide her, and this abrupt interruption made her feel disrespected by Whoopi. Politely expressing her feelings of upset, Rosie confronted Whoopi about the interruption. However, instead of providing an explanation, Goldberg responded by unleashing a barrage of anger on her co-host. During an interview, Rosie said, "It was really painful to me to feel how much she didn't like me. There's a fair characterization to say that before I went on there, she was not that interested in The View. She wouldn't talk when there were other guests. She would just sit there." Despite the outburst from her co-host, Rosie made the conscious choice to uphold her professionalism. After the heated exchange, she calmly returned to her seat at the table and continued with the show as if nothing had transpired. Rosie said, "I didn't think there would be any kind of competition. I don't have a real competitive side with other women. I want to support other women. I want to try to help other women. So it got off to the wrong foot." It appears that it was Whoopi's decision to exhibit disrespectful behavior towards everyone on the set. The relationship between Rosie and Whoopi behind the scenes of The View had been tense right from the start of the season.
You know, is it racist? Do you think it's racism? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, and it's just crazy.
Sources have indicated that O'Donnell was uncomfortable with being direct on what to say or how to conduct herself, and she was unwilling to shy away from discussing important topics. Many people believe that Whoopi tends to act in a demanding manner, placing producers in difficult positions. It has also been revealed that Goldberg has made a request to ABC to terminate her contract with the network and pay her the remaining $10 million from her deal so that she can exit the show. This decision is believed to be influenced by her dislike for working alongside individuals like Rosie.
I worked on a project with her for ABC since this whole McGillicuddy occurred. And, you know, I'm always going to respect her.
For her alleged unkind behavior, Whoopi has been largely criticized by the public. One person wrote, "I'm actually shocked. I've never heard of this book before and I'm definitely a Rosie fan. So I'm starting to understand so much more now." Another one added, "I think in Rosie's case, she has something that a lot of people, myself included, have and currently are dealing with, and that's unhealed trauma. The things that she went through during her 2 stints as a co-hostess on The View, from that explosive on-air fight with Elizabeth Hasselbeck, which led to her walking off for good, to those fiery verbal exchanges she had with Whoopi. Rosie obviously has not healed from them, and if talking about it out loud will help her towards healing, then I'm all for it." As public pressure intensifies for Whoopi to exit the show, Rosie is receiving support for her courage in speaking out and shedding light on her colleague's character. However, the story takes another unexpected turn. It appears that Whoopi's strong dislike for Rosie was so profound that it extended to influencing one of her close friends, Ellen DeGeneres, to develop a prejudice against Rosie. This unexpected feud between Rosie and Ellen has surprised many.
Why were you never a guest on Ellen's show during its 20-year run? Were you really never? Never. Did they not ask?
No.
Recently, Rosie shared the details of her clash with Ellen, a confrontation that occurred several years ago. In a recent interview, Rosie O'Donnell revealed the once strong bond she shared with Ellen DeGeneres and the subsequent deterioration of their relationship, which was partially attributed to Whoopi. What was once a solid friendship marked by mutual support both on and off screen eventually experienced a breakdown. This happened when Ellen's actions hurt Rosie's feelings, leading Ellen to distance herself due to apprehension. Apparently, when Ellen publicly acknowledged her own gender preference, she was concerned that people might speculate about a romantic involvement with Rosie. As a preemptive measure, Ellen publicly claimed not to know Rosie, stating, quote, "I don't know Rosie, we're not friends. It hurt my feelings like a baby, and I never really got over it." According to Rosie's disclosure, it appeared that Ellen DeGeneres had been purposefully distancing herself for decades. Rosie's attempts to secure an appearance as a guest on the Ellen DeGeneres show were repeatedly denied by Ellen's producers. Rosie had suspicions that Ellen and Whoopi might have discussed her character, possibly due to their friendship, which could explain why Whoopi's treatment of Rosie was perceived as discourteous and unkind. These revelations have had a significant impact on Whoopi's career, with rumors circulating about her potential departure from the show. In another surprising turn of events, the entertainment world was left stunned by the news of Whoopi Goldberg's emotional loss in a legal battle against Jason Aldean. The country music sensation had filed a defamation case against Goldberg, resulting in a resounding and unexpected defeat for the acclaimed actress and talk show host. The members of The View are not embracing Jason Aldean's contentious new music video, which has faced substantial backlash for its perpetuation of racist themes. Taking the lead on the show, Whoopi Goldberg criticized the country star for incorporating footage of protests into his music video for "Try That in a Small Town." The lyrics read, "Got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day they're gonna round up. Well, that might fly in the city. Good luck. Try that in a small town," which have sparked significant backlash. According to Goldberg, Aldean discusses life in a small town, portraying it as distinct, while deliberately selecting these particular images. From the Black Lives Matter movement, he includes individuals who are looking after one another. Yet Goldberg finds it intriguing that neither Jason nor the writers seem to realize that these individuals were indeed looking out for their town's inhabitants due to their concerns. She said, quote, "Just like you talk about people taking care of each other in small towns, we do the same thing in big towns. You just have to realize that when you make it about Black Lives Matter, people kind of say, well, are you talking about black people? What are you talking about here?" Conservative co-host Alyssa Farah Griffin expressed her willingness to extend Aldean the benefit of the doubt, stating, quote, that his intent wasn't to stoke division, glorify violence or racism. However, she added that the song's lyrics prompted her to reflect on the tragic case of Ahmaud Arbery, a black man in a small town in the South who got shot for doing nothing wrong in February 2020. Joy Behar and Sunny Hostin, on the other hand, displayed less leniency. Joy labeled the song as deplorable and annoying, while Sunny emphasized her unwillingness to grant Aldean any margin for error when handling such delicate subject matter.
And he saw people get, so I don't understand how he could be that disconnected, how people around him didn't say to him, hey, listen.
The legal expert said, quote, "What was evoked for me was those sundown areas. My mother and father, because they were an interracial couple, were run out of South Carolina by the KKK. My father is still scarred from that experience. So don't tell me that not only was he aware of what he was doing by using that imagery, he embraced that imagery. Unfortunately, this became the #1 song on US iTunes. We have a problem in this country about race, and the biggest problem is we refuse to admit that it exists." Sunny concluded the segment by sharing sharing a response from Aldean, referencing a tweet he posted in the midst of the backlash. This backlash led to actions such as CMT removing the Try That in a Small Town music video from its rotation.
Like, people are upset at the country music channel. Because the Jason Aldean song, Try That in a Small Town.
Yeah. In a tweet, he dismissed the claims as meritless and dangerous, asserting that the track lacks any lyrics related to race, while emphasizing its incorporation of authentic news footage throughout its duration. He wrote, quote, "In the past 24 hours, I have been accused of releasing a pro-lynching song, a song that has been out since May and was subject to the comparison that I, direct quote, was not too pleased with the nationwide protests. While I can try and respect others to have their own interpretation of a song with music, this one goes too far." However, Goldberg replied to his tweet saying, "Does it go too far? You've gone too far." Amidst the ongoing controversy surrounding his song Try This in a Small Town, Jason Aldean remains in the spotlight. Recent reports suggested that he intended to file a lawsuit against The View's hosts after they labeled him as racist on the show. However, these claims have been debunked. The musician has clarified that he is not pursuing a legal case against The View. News publication The Dunning-Kruger Times published an article titled "Jason Aldean Files Defamation Suit Against Whoopi and The View. Quote, I'm not racist." The article claimed that Aldean had filed a $40 million lawsuit as he took advice of counsel. This lawsuit, lodged in the 65th District Court of Writs and Motions, seeks damages not only from the show itself, but also from the individual hosts who labeled Aldean as racist.
And it's the racial aspect of it. It was crazy because, like, the real Antifa problems that were happening during the BLM, I think there was a lot of white people doing that.
Right. ABC responded by expressing surprise at the intensity of the host's comments, but maintained that the show's content falls under the protection of the First Amendment's free speech clause. However, it is essential to remember that even free speech has its limits, as exemplified by the classic fire in a crowded theater scenario. Additionally, the report stated that Jason Aldean's lawyer, Joe Barron, reportedly remarked that Whoopi should be held accountable for her actions. He said, "She needs to pay for her little stunt. They all do. Their behavior was un-American." The Dunning-Kruger Times continued to assert that Whoopi addressed the lawsuit by indicating she is unfazed by the potential legal actions. Given that numerous reputable news sources have covered the same story, it is reasonable to assume that Jason Aldean is indeed pursuing a lawsuit against any of the View hosts. While the assertion of Whoopi being involved in a defamation lawsuit is unclear, it is safe to say that she and her fellow hosts on The View did criticize Jason Aldean's contentious Try This in a Small Town music video. Whoopi voiced concerns about the message conveyed by the song.
There's a lot wrong here with this. This is a man who saw what happens when someone is out of control with their guns.
Due to this, she faced enormous criticism. One person wrote, "Whoopi is a prime example of why nobody should vote for celebrities that run for office. We fall in love with an actor's character, then vote for the characters that they portrayed, but the person themselves can be rotten. At least other candidates must campaign on their own past." Another person added, "Mr. Aldean, with all due respect, please continue to sue these people. Don't back down. Please do it for the good people of America." It was also reported that the lawsuit is expected to go through various courts before it can proceed, although the specific reasons were not yet clear. However, it's rumored that Aldean is aiming to bring the case before a judge with ties to former President Trump in Florida. However, if we take a look back at Goldberg's past, she's been in this type of situation before. The View centers around a panel of commentators sharing their perspectives on life and culture. Nevertheless, during another episode, Whoopi Goldberg surprised everyone with a rather unexpected and oversharing confession about her pool escapades.
If you tried to have in the pool, you know that's not easy. You're getting resistance from the water that is within.
The topic was not chosen at random. It revolved around intimacy and physical touch. However, Goldberg seemed less than amused by the subject matter. After reading the topic on her note cards, she tore them up and directed a skeptical, "Seriously?" to producer Brian Teda, who was positioned at a podium just off screen. When Joy Behar shared her enjoyment of sipping cocktails during leisure travel, Goldberg veered into a rather explicit pool-related tangent. She further went on saying, quote, "You know, S on the beach is overrated. The drink or the S?" Behar replied, "Both." Goldberg quipped back, getting a chuckle out of the audience. "Because you know if you tried to have S in the pool, you know that's not easy," she continued. "Because you're trying to go up the hill and you're getting resistance from the water that is within. Because when you're in the pool, you're surrounded in the water. Co-host Alyssa Farah Griffin chuckled as if it was a typical conversational moment, remarking that Tara would probably need to take them to a commercial break. Whoopi Goldberg's unfiltered and straightforward approach to voicing her thoughts, often without considering the feelings of others, has indeed stirred up significant controversy. This unapologetic style has led to substantial criticism, with some suggesting that it has had a detrimental impact on her career. Recent reports of her suspension from the show have only intensified the public's response, leading many to question the future of her role on The View and her standing in the entertainment industry.